what community looks like.
Show me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like. Thank you. Let's do it one more time with community. Come on. Show me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like.
I have the pleasure of being here with the Youth Liberty Squad as their chaperone and supporter. My name is Amir, Whitaker, he, him, his. I'm Senior Policy Counsel with the ACLU of Southern California. And now let's have the Youth Liberty Squad introduce themselves. And as they introduce themselves and share their name and their school, we also ask them to share something that they wish policymakers or adults could understand with relation to young people.
Hi everybody, my name is Amir Gilbert. I come from Culver City High School. I use any pronouns. And something that I wish that policymakers knew more about youth mental health was that it comes in all different shapes and sizes and colors, and it's very important that it's culturally relevant to each individual youth.
Hi everyone, I'm Xavier Ramirez. I go to Abraham Lincoln Senior High School in Los Angeles, California, and I go by he, him, and they, them pronouns. One thing that I wish policymakers and counselors knew in relation to student mental health would be how complex it is, and each person has their own sort of desires and needs and wants that need to be individualized for each person. And that's what I think will pave the way for a greater youth mental health.
Hi, my name is Irene Kang, and I'm a senior from Westlake High School down in Southern California. And one of the things that I wish that policymakers knew when looking at mental health or integrated healthcare systems is how age has such an important role in how mental health affects different kids and teenagers. I feel like there's a large focus on the mental health of teenagers, and I believe that is just as important, but I also believe that there are groups of students in age demographics that are being sort of left out of the conversation because we look at more serious insecurities or serious roots that teenagers may be impacted by, but I believe that we should look at middle schools or elementary schools just the same.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jimena Castañeda. I use she, her, ella pronouns. And something that I wish policymakers knew is that mental health doesn't have a finalized solution, but it's going to be an ongoing battle between the youth. And it's something that is always adapting with these years like changes or what is going on in the world during the time.
Hello, my name is Brenda. I go to Stella High Charter Academy. One thing I wish adults in general could learn is to stop being dismissive and saying things like get over it or you do it to yourself, because if that was the case, then we wouldn't be having a discussion.
Hi everyone, my name is Helen, and it's a pleasure to be with you all here today. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm currently a junior at Narbonne High School, and yeah, go Gauchos. One wish I have for the adults and the professionals in the mental health world is to really integrate more youth voices, and I feel like that's why we're here. We're here to leverage our voices, our perspectives, and our stories for policy change and reform that we want to see in our society and for the betterment of mental health wellness for all of kids across California. So thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Alan Ramirez. I go by he, him, and I'm a junior in Azusa High School. And one thing I want policymakers to understand is the different experiences that each kid has. And I want them to integrate it into different experiences. I want all the mental health policies to be fit for all students and not just for a certain experience.
Okay, Amaris again, you just heard from me. And right now we're going to go over our objectives. So we want to share campaigns, materials, and strategies related to student mental health. And we want to brainstorm creative ways to share resources and rights related to youth mental health. And also we're going to do a fun group activity with some roundtables. And now I would like us to go into some grounding. Okay, so first I want you to do a little bit of a shake in your chair, just a little wiggle. Shake out any nerves you have. I see Amir's getting down with it. Okay, now I want you to kind of get comfortable in your chair, feel your feet firmly on the ground, not too firmly. And then once you feel comfortable, once you feel present, if you feel comfortable, close your eyes, please. Fingers crossed you close your eyes. And take a nice deep breath. We're gonna do 3 together. And as you continue breathing, I want you to really feel Mother Earth and the floor planted firmly beneath your feet. And know that every time you take a step, your ancestors are lifting your feet up. And know that everybody in this room is present in the same space that you are. And that we're all here to come to the same conclusions today, which is supporting youth mental health. Open your eyes, look around, and know that now we're kind of family in a way. And now we're gonna do some chair yoga.
Hi again, everybody. This is Janine, and we will be doing some chair yoga. So we're all grounded and relaxed. And so, what I first want you guys to do is just stretch out your neck like this. You're gonna roll around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now you gotta stretch out your arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Other way. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So now what we're gonna do is that I don't know how to explain this. So you're just gonna be turning around in your chair like this. Back into the mic. Back. Stretch your back. Other way.
Slowly come out.
Slowly come out, yes. There we go. Yep. And slowly come out. And then so now I want you guys to come on the side. And then so you're going to be moving to the side. So put your arm down on the floor like this. Oh. It works, I swear. All right, move out slowly. We're gonna go on the other side. There you go. Yep. My head pumped to the mic. 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm done. That's enough for me. I put my head on the cheek.
And that is it for the chair yoga. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you, Amaris. I'm going to share some of the presentation. We had another one of our students who's actually a Youth Liberty Squad alumni, Catherine, who was supposed to be here, but she missed her flight this morning and is unable to be here. So she's here in spirit, and her work years ago was advocating for spaces like this and initiatives like this. But I'm going to share some of that information really quick. But just a little more about the Youth Liberty Squad. This is something the ACLU started in 2019 to empower, inform, and advocate with students to uplift their voices. We work with students from over 50 schools all across California, mostly in Southern California, bi-monthly meetings on Saturdays, and we do lots of Know Your Rights workshops and advocating for just awareness of what rights and entitlements students have, and many of those relate to mental health and wellness and different things. And we're completely democratic, and we work on what the students want to work on, and student mental health, youth mental health is always the most popular. We actually have subcommittees, and it's the most popular subcommittee. The students you see here are part of that subcommittee, and we have our co-chairs and others. So this is an issue that students have been invested in for about 6 years now since we started. And I won't have time to go through the full advocacy here, but this just is a timeline going back to 2020 when the students really started the advocacy during the pandemic with petitions to the governors, with letters. And if you're an ACLU supporter, you may have seen an email asking for your signature for one of these petitions because we received over 10,000 signatures, conducted student surveys. And today, 2 students are going to share projects that they presented and have done where they're doing their own surveys and own research. But our Youth Liberty Squad, we've done over 5 surveys to students, asking them about the impacts of different things on their wellness, along with our State of Student Wellness report that we published in 2022 with the California Association of School Counselors, part of there. And we've hosted several town halls as well. Every year our students host a town hall. And just yesterday we had a town hall with lots of folks and guests who came down for us. And just showing here, the California's first Student Mental Health Week that started back in 2020, the Youth Liberty Squad was part of that and hosted their first webinar in Town Hall. But what I'm gonna ask maybe two students to share something that happened at yesterday's Town Hall. We had our 4th annual Town Hall at our office in Los Angeles. Anybody wanna share a memory or reflection of something, one of their favorite parts of that Town Hall? Alan?
I would say my favorite part was the Aztec dancers that we had, and they were one of the, like, they were really like allowing us to see the different cultures that we have here in California. And yeah, I really love seeing the different cultures.
Cool, thanks for that, Alan. Yeah, anyone want to share any other? Irene?
I think we had kind of a preemptive conference where we got to sit down with a couple of professionals and have some one-on-one questions, or we were in a group setting, but kind of one-on-one. And it was a preemptive to this, and we are really excited to ask you guys questions and talk similarly one-on-one in roundtables today.
Exactly, thank you, appreciate that. Cool, and this was more what Catherine was gonna share. That's actually Catherine there when she was a senior at our high school, part of our first Youth Liberty Squad cohort, and advocating because students take the materials that we share, the Know Your Rights materials, the resource materials, to their own schools and clubs and disseminate them out in different things. But and then to the right of that, you see students saying cops, not counselors. That was a project where we gave students their own banners to create whichever messaging they want, and these are some of the messages that naturally emerged. We don't have time, or maybe if a student wants to read, Janine, if you can read this blog that Catherine wrote. She's not able to be here and read it herself, but she wrote this blog when she was a senior, and we've published a blog every year from students talking about mental health. But Janine, can you read that quote?
Yeah.
There?
As a student, I feel mental health check-ins between administrators like teachers, social workers, counselors, etc., and each and every individual pupil should be,
Sorry. Here we go.
Yeah, should be mandatory. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. And each and every individual pupil should be mandatory along with a period of rest. Awesome.
So we encourage solution-oriented perspectives and conversations and different things. And we're doing a series this year with our Student Mental Wellness Committee, where we're going to publish more. But this was the last blog we published last year with a student who talked about, she titled it, quote, "The Shocking State of Mental Health and Behavioral Services in California in 2023," and just talked directly about what she was experiencing and both the good and the bad, but everything from how, just the opportunity to go to the bathroom or not have an opportunity to go to the bathroom in school, and how other things can impact student wellness. And, I'm sorry, I meant to share this. So this presentation is actually available through this tiny, you all aren't seeing anything on the screen. There's a tiny URL right there where you can access this presentation, and you're able to click the links and read the student blogs, and there's actually some videos and other things there as well. And we'll put this back up at the end, but it's www.tinyurl.com/BB2024 WildS, Breaking Barriers 2024 WildS. But we have lots of links, like this PBS article, actually. They mentioned the Children, Youth, and Behavioral Health Initiative and different things as they were developing. And this was a letter that our students wrote themselves, and Catherine would explain it because she wrote half of this letter her junior year, advocating for the state of California to host town halls and other things that would empower students to share their perspective. And luckily, the California Department of Education did host some student circles where they invited the Youth Liberty Squad to speak, but the students shared that they're still not seeing the kind of engagement for student voices as they would like. Just more meetings with the students, meeting with the State Board of Education in California about mental health after the petition was delivered. and the State of Student Wellness survey that we administered to over 1,200 students over 2 years across 46 districts. This was during the pandemic when no one was talking about the impact on student wellness. Everyone was talking about the economy and travel and different things, and the kids weren't all right, and our students wanted to do this survey. They created the survey themselves to ask students, and now we're going to share some of the findings from the survey. First here, let's read some of the quotes, have some students read some of the quotes where we just gave open-ended opportunity for students to share how the pandemic was impacting them.
I've had dozens of mental breakdowns. I lost all of my friends, a little bit of suicidal thoughts. I'm not motivated by anything anymore.
And that was in 8th grade. I'm sorry. So
yeah, it was told by someone in 8th grade in Imperial Unified School. And the next quote, I have gone through incredibly intense depressive episodes. I have never had anything lower than a 3.4 GPA, and starting this semester, I struggled. So I'm currently failing 2 classes. And this was from an 11th grader in the Los Angeles Unified School District.
So from an 8th grader in the Imperial Unified District, my anxiety has been up so much. I get more anxiety attacks now than before the pandemic. I've had barely any anxiety at all before COVID, and now I'm used to it. And this one from a 10th grader in San Diego Unified, a traumatizing event occurred during the pandemic where my ex attempted to commit suicide, and I couldn't do anything to help because we were early in the pandemic and in lockdown.
Thanks for reading these. And we share these to share that, these are wounds that are still not healed. We say language, we use language like post-pandemic and other stuff. We know that the tragedy is behind us in some ways, but the wounds are still there. And these 8th graders are still students in the current system. This was another article written about one of our YLS students and her parent, actually. This was, I believe, 2 years ago, but it was in relation to the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative. And the headline says, when children suffer, California to funnel billions into mental health overhaul. And it talked about the money behind this initiative, but it shared some of Amanda's story and some of her mom's story to give how it was being implemented. And we're going to share a little quote from this article now about Amanda.
Amanda Ariana felt a heavy weight pressing down on her chest. It was May of 2021, and the teenager struggled to breathe. Maria Ariano rushed her 17-year-old daughter to the pulmonologist. Amanda has cerebral palsy, autism, epilepsy, asthma, and a heart murmur. With COVID on the prowl, they couldn't be too careful. This wasn't an asthma flare-up, the doctor told them. This was anxiety. Sitting in a jack-in-the-box near their home in Boyle Heights last month, Maria's eyes filled with tears as she searched for the words to describe watching her normally gregarious daughter struggle. It makes you feel very powerless, she said.
Thanks for that. So this shows the compound impact, not just on the young person, on the youth, on the child, but I'll just stand up since you might not be able to see, but also on the parent. And that's one of the great things about this initiative is understanding that intergenerational comprehensive approach that's needed with families, right? It's not just the children, it's the families. And Amanda was or is one of our most bravest Youth Liberty Squad students. She still comes to our meetings and still participates in different things. This was a meeting that we had where both Amanda and her mom, you can see they're centered, when we met with the superintendent of LAUSD, specifically about student mental health. And I remember in this meeting, Amanda's mom actually broke down in tears and started crying to describing the situation that happened that was described in the article when her child was going through these crises and she felt the school district was not responding enough or sometimes adding to it. So what we try to do with the Youth Liberty Squad is to empower the students and the parents to directly share some of these things with policymakers through these meetings and through the power of their stories. Here we just have some more quotes from other articles with the Youth Liberty Squad, but I think since we have some more current students, I don't think we need to spend time on here. But we did want to share some of the findings from the initial survey that we administered to over 1,200 students across the 46 school districts and some of the findings from this one.
So these surveys we position these two only for two questions. Student experiences in the past year, and we got this from April 2021, and we also have gotten the how has the pandemic impacted you? So if we look at the arrows for student experiences, we've seen that 43% have experienced panic or an anxiety attack. And for how has the pandemic impacted you, 66% says my mental health, anxiety, stress, depression, and etc. These data points have highlighted the importance of just advocating for mental health for these students and for children all across the state and in our country.
Thanks, Alan. And many of you know it was a crisis before the pandemic, right? Then the pandemic just exacerbated things, and we used the word state of emergency because it was a crisis before, especially in California. All right. So we wanted to share this resource that we have on our My School, My Rights website, where we have several areas where we talk about student rights and resources. But this one here is the student mental health one, where students can find out, for example, that students in California have the right to have a day off from school for mental wellness days, mental health days, and other things related to that. But we also list resources and different things on this website too, and you can find it at myschoolmyrights.com, and we actually have some stickers we'll put out as well. So we have two short presentations of student projects we want to share and transition to now, with students sharing more about what they're doing specifically in their school and district and even county, one of the students. So we're gonna start with Janine, who's gonna share what she's been doing in her school, and then we're gonna go to Helen.
Hi everyone, how is everyone doing? Good? Okay, I like the energy in this room so far, so let's keep that up. So today I'm going to be presenting about the silent pandemic, also known as the fentanyl crisis amongst youth, just highlighting how it correlates with one's mental health as well. So here's a little bit about me. So my name is Helen Ho. I'm a junior at Narbonne High School. I'm Vietnamese, and one aspiration I have in the future is to pursue medicine and serve underprivileged communities. Some interests I have is in global health advocacy. And a fun fact about me is my favorite dish is pho. Yeah. Especially this weather, right? Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so I wanted to kind of dive into some logistics. So on the graph here is the number of drug overdoses in LA, and you can see the proliferation starting from 2020. And can anyone guess what happened in 2020? So the pandemic, obviously, and I just wanted everyone to see how people, and especially youth nowadays, kind of resort to like opioids as a way for them to cope from like mental health, like anxiety or any barriers that they have. And there's a lot of fentanyl impact amongst youth of color. And especially in my area, I'm from a predominantly Black and Latinx community. And I've witnessed a lot of my peers actually go through a lot of withdrawal and rehab because of all the the opioids, withdrawal they've been going through. But there's also a real case scenario that actually happened. So Melanie's Law was enacted in 2023. It was established after student Melanie overdosed from opioids like fentanyl. And this is really just to urge the school and the superintendent on the district level to take action against what can be done. Okay, so Oh, moving on. So these are some mental health barriers and drug usage that a lot of low-income communities experience, especially youth of color. So we know that socioeconomic class plays a huge role into the ways that resources are kind of integrated into the system. So a lot of adverse childhood experiences that teens go through can actually make them more susceptible to seeking out like conventional drugs and going to like liquor stores because of like the environmental like injustices. And we can also see that Title I schools especially lack a lot of sufficient funding for mental health and ways to mediate drug overdoses. And again, this is highly prevalent in communities of color. Okay, so here are some harm reduction measures. So I know you guys have all seen this. This is Narcan. So again, this is a life-saving spray that you can use. Anyone can administer this, and it's really a community effort for someone, for you to like kind of like see who is overdose, and it reverses the opioid transmitters in your brain. So this is a great way to reverse any of those side effects. And then I just wanted to share like some of the ways I've been mobilizing in my community in regards to Narcan awareness and like student wellness. So I participated in this Harbor UCLA Summer Health Fellowship during the summer, and we trained over 60 students in Gardena High School on Narcan, how to use it, how to administer it, and what like scenarios they need to use it during. And another leadership initiative I was a part of was the LUSD's Chief Medical Counsel, and this is honestly like just bridging more of that like youth engagement, similar to today's Breaking Symposium, where we talk a lot about like destigmatizing mental health. So I co-founded this org called Young Global Health Reps, and our mission is really just to bridge the health equity gap in youth. We have over 900 youth from 16 different states, 7 different countries, and I know like some of the people in this room are youth, so yeah, we do a lot of like health education workshops, and this is something I wanted to share really quick. This is a part of a bigger project that we're launching, so we're launching a health handbook guide made by youth for youth. So these are just like some common mental health barriers, signs of burnout, and we just provide you guys with like tangible strategies, programs that you could go to if you're struggling with any of these barriers. And then I wanted to also highlight that our work is not done yet. The fight for mental health equity is not over yet. And I'm speaking for a lot of the youth in this room. So one of the call to action pieces that I wanted to highlight was that only 2% of our $236 million budget goes towards supporting student mental health.
Hi again, everybody. My name is Janine Garcia. I am, again, I use she, her, ella pronouns, and I am I'm a senior at Hillcrest High School in Riverside, California. And in my 17 years of living in the Inland Empire, which is comprised of San Bernardino and Riverside counties in Southern California, I've noticed a demand for more mental health resources in my city. In fact, from a survey from the Riverside University health system last year, mental health was the most reported health problem that needs to be fixed in our communities, with 41.7% of survey takers sharing this sentiment. This sentiment is reflected at my school, Hillcrest. We have a school psychologist who is limited to serving kids with only IEP and 504 programs, and I can confidently say that I do not know whether or not we have a social worker at my school. Yeah.
And really quick, when ACLU did a study in 2019, we found Riverside County had the lowest ratio of students to social workers, and literally many schools had zero. Many districts had no social workers in the entire district.
Yes, and you could
we
tell.
later filed a lawsuit against Riverside County Department of Probation because they were placing probation officers in the schools because they didn't have support mental health. And we had a student, one of our clients was grieving. That was the crime. When they filled out his probation form, it said grief. And had they had a social worker, maybe they wouldn't have been placed on probation.
Yes, and this is actually very much shown because my school counselor said that we had a social worker in training, and my former AP psychology teacher said that our Wiley counselor, who we will talk about later, was our social worker, and my semi-slimy assistant principal said that we absolutely and most definitely have a social worker. So which one is which? Yeah. So I had the genius idea to run a student survey. I sampled 136 of my peers from my high school, and it assesses knowledge of youth mental health statistics and facts from all grades in my school. The goal was to amplify the student voices of the Hillcrest student population. And so, yeah, and we are currently getting that survey out. So yeah, disclaimer, this is not affiliated with my school district in any way, shape, or form. So the first part of the survey was the knowledge check. So first I asked, what is mental health? And so the correct answer was the yellow one. Mental health is about maintaining psychological, emotional, and social well-being. And 80.1% of students ended up getting that right. So awesome. And the second question was, does your school have a psychologist available to all students? Unfortunately, only 11.8% of students selected the correct answer, which is no. The school psychologist only serves 504 and IEP students. And for 13, this was a trick question because I obviously do not have the answer to this one. So 15 is about confidentiality. So when you express thoughts of hurting yourself or others, or tell staff that you are being abused, is that information confidential? And 53.7% of students responded correctly. No, in certain circumstances, confidentiality cannot be promised when a student's mental or physical health is in question. And yeah. And these are my two favorite questions. So, did you know that Wiley centers, which are the mental health counseling centers, are at AU Alvord Unified School District schools? And a whopping 89.7% said that they did not know this until they had read my question. And the next question was, how could you access the Wiley Center at school? And I am happy to report that 79.4% of students answered the right question, which is a guidance counselor referral. So a little bit about Wiley.
Just 1 minute, Janine.
Yes. 1 minute?
Yeah, 2 minutes. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so my school's Wiley counselor is a counselor in training. She only comes twice a week at my school, and she also works for another school, which is Alvord Continuation School. My school has 1,800 students, and there is only one of Wiley. And for that other school, there are 135 students, and there's only one of her. And the difference between my school and Alvord, the continuation school, is that it's widely known that there is a Wiley counselor at that other school. And at my school, as you saw, about 90% of students did not know that. And so that is pretty much. And my second concern was the room that it is in. So the room is a very, very tiny room. It's tiny, it's claustrophobic, and cold with a wooden chair. Interrogation rooms feel a little bit more homey than this office is. Yeah, it looks like a hospital room. And so yeah, imagine being depressed, craving nothing more than just a warm feeling to relieve you of the pain that you have, and just feeling cold and uncomfortable in your most vulnerable state.
And the Wiley counselor can't do anything about it because she's barely ever here, fortunately. And so second part is student voices. So here are these. I'm gonna read question 18, which is, do you agree with the statement, school staff care about the mental health of students? 39.7% had a neutral opinion on it. 20.6% disagree, and 27.2% disagree, and 9% strongly disagree. And if you could see question 19 there, that is also great. And then this was my first open-ended question. And so what could school staff do to improve their student interactions with students? And what could school staff do to build trust with their students? And so the arrow right there, that was kind of my favorite answer. So the student said that some staff could honestly be kinder to us and not treat us like we're in middle school. They should validate our feelings and when needed and to make us feel safe enough to trust them with anything. But not anything, but some things like when we just need to vent to someone. And another student said to just care. And so another question that I asked was about how much they had talked about students had talked about their mental health with their school. And so 84.4% of high school students of my school students reported that they had never discussed with school staff about their mental health, and 89% report that they had never used the mental health services at my school. And so, so here's the quality. And so any barriers preventing students from accessing the mental health services supports at their school. The primary one was a lack of information, with 57% of students saying that there's a lack of information at the school. And so here's the rest. So let me see here, the open-ended questions. These were two open-ended questions that I wanted to share. First off, the first one was my favorite one. For question 229 is to share your opinions about the mental health services and support at school. So one student said that if they're hearing about it now, then they need to do a better job at letting students know that there are these kinds of supports at school. And and so question, right. So this is the last question, and I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janine. And as you can see at the ACLU, we do not filter what students say. That's how she feels, that those are her experiences and those are valid. And I think some of the stories she shared uplift the reason why we have to have more integrated systems and wraparound services supporting students, because if 90% of students at one school are just unaware of any services that are available, then that's a huge problem. So unfortunately, I don't think we'll have time to do our discussion because I believe we're at time, because a time check. Are we at time or do we still have time? Oh, we have 12 minutes. Yay. So we actually will get to this part. Awesome. So now we're going to have a discussion, and some of the students will join you at the tables, and some of your tables already have students, but we want to bring everything back together. Oh, why am I talking out of two mics? Sorry. We want to bring everything back together. Ooh, let me see, it was this one. No, this one. Here we go. Bring everything back together with a discussion really quick at our tables, and brainstorming and bringing it back to the solutions. So we have some prompts right here that we can discuss and do a little bit of sharing. Since we have 12 minutes, maybe we'll do about 8-9 minutes of discussing and a few quick minutes of sharing. So some of the questions we have here are, how can schools and communities better share information about student mental health rights? And that was part of some of the issues we shared. How can we, or do we, that's a two-part question, center youth voices and needs with mental health services? How can we do that? Or if you're already in a organization or school district that has youth advisory councils and other stuff, then you can share some of those things as well. Then, what are some holistic and creative ways to support youth wellness that are underutilized in our systems? For example, yesterday our students got to meet an art therapist. Just earlier today, I saw today's Future Sound, the beat doctor, Dr. Gann is in here. I've worked with him a few times. Not enough schools are even aware of this. Not many students are aware of these healing potentials that are more culturally responsive to youth when you use these sort of creative modalities. And then, how can schools and mental health providers ensure that services are inclusive and culturally responsive to diverse youth populations? And finally, what are effective ways for schools to involve students in shaping mental health programs and policies?